Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at your winter storm, which is going to be impacting parts of the upper Midwest through parts of the Midwest and then into the Great Lakes and interior Northeast, where you could be expecting up to 6 to 12 inches, maybe even 12 to 18 inches of snowfall there over the interior Northeast. I'm going to be breaking that down, going through the European model as well as my personal snowfall and rainfall forecast at the end of the video. So make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end, and we're going to go a little bit more in depth with this storm system. So we're going to start off here with the National Weather Service. We have winter weather advisories there for parts of the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, and through Montana. And we even have a little bit of winter storm warnings there for the Black Hills there of western South Dakota, where you could be expecting. I was looking at some of the predicted National Weather Service totals there on their map, and they were expecting up to 20 inches of snowfall for some of the Black Hills there in western South Dakota, where you do get a little bit of elevation, and really only a little bit of elevation, and you can get quite a bit of snowfall. In the surrounding areas, we're only expecting about 3 to 5 inches. So pretty staggering numbers there, where you have those winter storm warnings, definitely well warranted. We also have another area of winter weather advisories and winter storm watches over parts of it's pretty much the southern half of Michigan and through northern Illinois and northern Missouri, as well as a little bit there of southeast Iowa. Those winter storm watches areas in those blues, that's where I'm expecting you're probably going to go to a winter storm warning, and that's where the National Weather Service, for the most part, is expecting around 5 to 6, maybe even a little bit more inches of snowfall. We also have some flood watches there for southern central Missouri, and that's going to pretty much be it for the National Weather Service. Not much else except for those winter weather alerts over parts of the Midwest and Great Lakes. Now, here's your satellite imagery, and this is a pretty recent frame from just a few minutes ago from when I'm recording this, and you can really depict where this upper level low pressure system is. It's over northern Arkansas currently, and I'll do this in a brighter shade. We'll do this in yellow, and it's currently in northern Arkansas, and it's really spinning clockwise. You can see there's this narrow area where you don't have any cloud cover, and you can really tell the direction that it's spinning, especially if I put this into motion here. Now you can really tell that the clouds are really moving something like this around this low pressure system this way, and it's really a good depiction of what an upper level low pressure system looks like, and it's a really wrapped up low pressure system there over northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, and it really has a lot of strength with this, and it's really that's your winter storm that's going to be moving to the north and east and bringing snowfall north of that into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and through parts of Iowa and Wisconsin and Michigan as well, where you could be seeing quite a bit of snowfall out of this event. So here's your surface analysis map, where and it's going to show you where your surface low pressure systems are. Now we have one low pressure system over. This is your secondary low pressure system. This is going to be merging really with this low pressure system to the south and east, and that's going to be moving north and east, and they're really going to merge somewhere right around the Illinois-Indiana border. You have that over parts of northern Nebraska, southern South Dakota there, and we also have another one where we saw that upper level low pressure system over northern Arkansas and almost crossing the border there into Missouri, and you have that long draping frontal system through parts of the southeast cold front behind that, as well as another long frontal system moving all the way through Canada there. Pretty big frontal system there, and then you also have this occlusion front that's linking up to another system over northern Canada. So really it all plays together with this system, and pretty much all these low pressure systems are going to play one part in this system. Now, here's your precipitation type from the European model, showing you where it's expecting snow and rain. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now, the European model is a much farther south model than pretty much all the models, and it hasn't been performing very well recently, so we have to take this with a grain of salt. Two models are showing a northern track, and about 3 or 4 models are showing a more of a southern track. The European being the most south of all of them. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle of both of them, and I'll definitely tell you while we're going through this model where I think, or where I disagree with what it's showing. Now, here getting into Tuesday morning, you start to see a little bit of snow according to the European model, breaking out over parts of Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, and then as we continue here, really you're going to get pretty much all of your snowfall on the backside here for many of these areas. It's going to be a big rain event until you hit right on that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame, where it really starts to crank in with that snowfall instead of the rainfall. Now getting to your Tuesday and your Wednesday morning, you're starting to see more widespread snowfall breakout, starting to get get into the interior northeast there, through the White and Green Mountains, through the Adirondacks, and areas closer to the Great Lakes. Now, as we continue, we have through Wednesday morning and then through Wednesday afternoon, you're starting to see quite a bit of snowfall. Again, most of your snowfall is on the backside. This is when you're getting your cold air to wrap back around, and this is pretty cold air that's going to be 10 to 15 degrees below average behind this event, which this system is helping bring south, and you're going to actually see your snowfall break out because you do have that cold air, and that's going to be breaking out pretty far to the south where you have some snowfall almost reaching into Kentucky there. So very far south according to this model, and if this were to play or come out to fruition. Now, this is by Wednesday night. Now getting into Thursday morning, you're starting to see heavy snowfall break out over parts of the Appalachians as well as areas into Canada and Michigan as well as Ohio there. And as we continue, you start to see some wraparound snowfall, but really the heaviest snowfall now into parts of the northeast. We'll zoom in here to areas in the northeast. You start to see pretty heavy snowfall break out as you get into Thursday morning, and now getting into Thursday afternoon. Very heavy snowfall breaking out. Potentially could be looking at some blizzard conditions through areas in the interior northeast. Now these are pretty high in elevation, about 1,000 to 3,000 feet, and we even have a couple higher peaks over parts of the interior northeast. So it's pretty high in elevation, but it's definitely going to be some pretty brutal conditions, even for you guys in parts of the interior northeast, where you could see some maybe even inch per hour rates, 2 inch per hour, maybe even 3 inch per hour rates. We'll have to see what plays out with this. Now, Thursday night, getting into Friday morning, it's pretty much departing over parts of the interior northeast, and what you see here is pretty much just some lake effect bands, so you're going to have some increasing winds getting through on Friday. Now, here's your total snowfall from the European model, and you see a good 2 to 6 inches anywhere in the blues, which is a good stripe here through Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and through Michigan as well. Anywhere in the purples, that's about 6 to 10 inches, and then as you get into the pinks, that's about 10 to about 20 inches, and then as you get into almost those blues, that's where you're looking at over 2 feet of snowfall, or at least close to 2 feet of snowfall. We see 2 to 6 inches through a good area of the Midwest, Great Lakes, and through the interior Northeast, as well as scattered through the Appalachians, through those higher elevations, and I do think it's a little bit high on those totals. I think you're going to be more maxing out around 5, 6, 7 inches instead of those 8, 9, 10 inches. So I think you could shave off an inch of or an inch or two of snowfall here. But other than that, I think the Appalachians look pretty good. The Northeast, I also agree with pretty well. I have a pretty good agreement with that. But I don't agree with this Great Lakes and Midwest area. I think this is going to be shifted to the north just by about 50 miles or so. So a lot of these areas will pretty much stay within the same range of snowfall amounts. But I do think the south end is pretty far to the south. I think it's going to be kind of like this, where I'm expecting the at least around 3, 4, 5 inches of snowfall. So I think you have to shift that a little bit further to the north on the European model. But other than that, I think this looks pretty good, especially for the northeast and parts of the Appalachians. Now here's the northeast view, and we have a good foot or 2 feet in some areas as you get into parts of upstate New York, into northern New Hampshire and Vermont, and into northern Maine. I know I have a couple of viewers from there, so definitely send me the amounts of snowfall you get in the comment section. Definitely leave a comment of how much snowfall you actually end up getting out of this event. I know I have a couple viewers from northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So definitely, if you guys want to, you can definitely send me the amount of snowfall you guys get, and I'll compare that to my forecast. It's always good to kind of compare your what actually happens to what you were forecasting, and that's how you kind of improve with forecasts, and that's what I like to do. I like to look back at your snowfall totals that you actually receive, and the snowfall analysis when the National Weather Service does that. It's a pretty good way of growing and kind of improving your forecasts. Now let's get into my forecast here, and this is going to include storm track, rainfall, and snowfall as well. Now, we have this first low pressure system, your primary low pressure system, over parts of northern Arkansas. Going to be moving north and east until it hits about Lake Erie, and then I think it's going to be pretty much east from there. Now, this secondary low pressure system in the lighter pink is where I think you're pretty much going to be going south and east until about Nebraska. I think it's going to, once you hit the Nebraska-Iowa border, I think you're going to start moving pretty much straight east. It's going to merge somewhere right across northern Indiana and Illinois, pretty much the border there is where I think it's going to merge maybe into southern Michigan. We'll have to see, and really that's going to play a big part into this system. This system's going to be traveling from the 24th through the 28th, so definitely take that into account. I'm only taking snowfall totals from the 24th through the early part of the 28th. Now, here's your under an inch layer of snowfall, and this is going to be from western Virginia, western North Carolina, through the Appalachians, and up through the interior Northeast, as well as there for the Great Lakes, into parts of the Midwest, and then through the upper Midwest, and into parts of the northern Rockies, where I am expecting at least a little bit of snowfall, maybe a trace or a dusting if you're just in this layer. But now, if you're in this second layer here, 1 to 3 inches, I'm expecting there for parts of northern parts of the Rockies, as well as parts of the Great Lakes, Midwest, and through the interior Northeast, except for parts of coastal Maine there and coastal New Hampshire. I'm expecting just under an inch of snowfall. But if you go just interior of the coast, I do expect 1 to 3 inches of snowfall there. Now, 3 to 6 inches of snowfall right around that secondary low pressure system, and then also for the area through northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and Ohio, as well as southern Michigan, and into northern parts of Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. I'm expecting for all you guys 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. We even have a 6 to 12 inch area, and this is really for much of the interior Northeast, except for really that Burlington, Vermont area where you get lower in elevation. I do think you're going to stay under 6 inches, but then as you get into parts of just to the east and west of there, I'm expecting 6 to 12 inches, and that's through northern Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, as well as northern upstate New York. We also have another 6 to 12 inch area there for northern and eastern Illinois, as well as maybe the southeastern tip there of Wisconsin and the southern part of Michigan. I'm expecting 6 to 12 inches of snowfall, and we even have a 12 to 18 inch area of snowfall, which I don't pull out too often, over parts of northern upstate New York through the Adirondacks and into the northern Green and White Mountains and into parts of northern Maine. I'm expecting over a foot of snowfall, and you could even maybe reach a foot and a half of snowfall. We'll have to see, and definitely tell me how much snowfall you do get in the comments down below. Now, here's your total rainfall forecast, and we have some pretty good amounts here. Everywhere pretty much east of this secondary low pressure system is going to be expecting under an inch of rainfall, except for there if you live over a good portion there of Texas. I don't think you're going to see any rainfall out of this event. Now, 1 to 2 inches where it's going to be a little bit more significant through parts of northern Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and through westernmost North Carolina, as well as northern Kentucky and through West Virginia, Ohio, and Indiana there, and as well for parts of southern New England through the Hudson Valley and into northern New Jersey. I am expecting 1 to 2 inches of rainfall to be expected over those areas, and then 2 to 3 inches of snowfall over northern Florida as well as southernmost Georgia. I'm expecting 2 to 3 inches of rainfall, and probably on the lower end of that, probably close to 2 to 2.25 inches of rainfall. And luckily, those areas that are very heavily hit with some pretty good rainfall over parts of the southeast, which would be Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and into Louisiana and Arkansas. Those areas aren't seeing any rainfall or any significant rainfall out of this event, so that's a good sign there. And I think it's going to quiet down for the upcoming weeks in terms of rainfall for those areas. So that's definitely a very good sign for you guys if you do live in those areas. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap the video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turn on notifications to never miss a video when I do upload. Anyways, guys, that was Live Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.